Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and in tonight's movie review, I finally get to talk about the third installment of Ty West's X Trilogy. And yes, back in 2022, I watched X and Pearl, and now this is the third installment of Ty West's X Trilogy, which just came out yesterday. And I've been waiting so long for this to come out, and I've been really struggling to see it, but now I finally got my chance to see it on the big screen at Cinemark earlier tonight with my cousin Ashley. And yes, so this review is going to be on MaXXXine. Yep. Like I said, MaXXXine is the third installment of Ty West's X Trilogy, and this movie set in the year 1985 in Los Angeles, California, in Hollywood. Yeah, because this movie takes place in the mid 80s, in the year 1985, and so in 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and an aspiring actress MaXXXine Minx finally gets her big break. However, as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Los Angeles, and that mysterious killer is known as the Night Stalker. So, and how like when the Night Stalker stalks the starlets of Los Angeles, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. And of course, this movie's played out as like a similar a whodunit type of film, like a similar mystery film. And so MaXXXine has to do whatever she can to try and solve this whodunit. And yeah, and of course, we got ourselves like the third installment of, I already said it. So, because if you watched X and Pearl, you'll know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so anyway, as for my thoughts on X and Pearl, X I really enjoyed. I think X is one of the best A24 films released in the year 2022. I didn't get to see it in theaters because I didn't have anyone to see it with me. But plus I couldn't really see it since I didn't know too much about X. But after watching X on digital, I actually really enjoyed it, and I still think X is one of the best A24 films of 2022, and I still rated 4.5 out of 5. As for the other 2022 film from Pearl, I also really enjoyed Pearl as well. I think Pearl is a great horror film from A24 as well. And of course, I would rate Pearl 4 stars out of 5. And then after watching those two films, it had me interested. It had me interested in seeing and checking out the third installment of the trilogy that Ty West wrote and directed. And of course, the third installment was called MaXXXine, of course. And a brief sneak peek preview clip was actually seen at the end of theatrical prints of Pearl. And it kind of had me interested a little bit since MaXXXine has something to do with Hollywood, and it takes place in like the 80s, like 1985 in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Since the brief clip showed like the MaXXXine logo in the style of the Hollywood sign, and it kind of had me interested. But then, I think earlier last year or the year before that, or I think it was probably earlier last year when principal photography was for this movie was taking place. When the cast was officially announced, and besides Maya Goth, who's the star of these films, like I also found out Kevin Bacon was going to be in it, as well as other members, including two people I know the most, Bobby Cannavale, and of course my girl Halsey. And when I heard Halsey was going to be in an A24 film like this, it had me the most interested. So my girl Halsey is like the main reason I wanted to see this movie, and I got one of my Halsey shirts on. It's actually one of her logos here. Yeah, Halsey. Yeah, so because and back in the early days, in terms of Halsey acting, like her earliest acting roles included a cameo scene in the 2018 Star is Born, and of course she did a couple voiceovers in Teen Titans Go to the Movies as Wonder Woman, and of course the Illumination film Sing 2 as Portia Crystal. And yeah, and like I said, when I heard Halsey was going to be in this, it had me very anticipated and interested since I already checked out X and Pearl, and so me and my cousin Ashley just got back from seeing it together, And this is actually our first time seeing a horror movie in theaters together since The Boogeyman, because the last year's movie, The Boogeyman, was the last horror film we saw in theaters together. And of course, this is also our first time seeing a movie together after Ashley's baby son, Eli Michael, was born back in January earlier this year. Yeah. And of course, these two are tickets to the movie, MaXXXine. And yeah. And I gotta say, what I really like most about MaXXXine is that Ty West, who writes and directs these films, he knows exactly what he's doing in terms of like for like horror aspects. And I gotta say, Ty West's screenplay and direction were both well done. Yeah. And I gotta say, I also really like the 80s setting that this movie takes place in like, and I like the Hollywood, Los Angeles area, the way this movie's set. Especially since there are like, you know, the opening scenes to this movie are the ones we saw in the trailer, like when MaXXXine goes to this adult video rental store, and yeah, it's kind of almost like an adult video rental store, and then of course, like, there was also a scene where MaXXXine goes to the set of the Bates Motel from Psycho. Yeah, the Bates Motel scene from Psycho that was featured in this movie. The Bates Motel scene I thought was pretty cool, because Psycho is definitely a classic horror movie from Alfred Hitchcock. And, you know, Psycho definitely needs no introduction, especially the murder music during the shower scene. Yeah. And this movie gave me some cinematic vibes to it, in terms of being a cinephile who's basically like a huge fan of movies, and I'm sure most of you guys out there who are cinephiles themselves, who love the films and all that, I think this movie will definitely interest you. You'll definitely get a kick out of this film if you enjoyed X and Pearl. And of course, MaXXXine's also the second A24 film I saw in theaters this year after Civil War. Civil War is also one of my favorite films of this year as well. And I gotta say, MaXXXine is also one of my all-time favorite movies of this year. But remember when I said Late Night with the Devils is my favorite horror film of the year? Well, that's now my second favorite film. That's now my second favorite horror film of the year, because MaXXXine takes the place as the #1 favorite horror film of 2024 in my opinion. Because this movie had everything, of course. Because I really do like films about that kind of does has some aspects to like movies about filmmaking, and yes, and of course there are some scenes involving like raunchiness, like a few nudity and sex scenes, because there is a good reason why this movie's called MaXXXine with 3 X's, because you guys know what that means, and you know, because this movie's probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I get that, because if you're not a fan of these films like X, Pearl, and this film, then I fully respect that, because I understand those movies aren't everyone's cup of tea, because like the first 2 movies, X and Pearl, had disturbing elements, and I gotta say Pearl was probably the most disturbing out of all of them. Mostly because Pearl's more like a slasher film, and this movie's kind of a slasher movie, but I think it focuses more on the whodunit aspects, like the mystery aspects. And yeah, because like I enjoyed everything about this movie, and I don't even have a single flaw I have with this movie. And I know this movie kind of got like a little bit of positive reviews, kind of like the first 2. But I think maybe some people consider MaXXXine as the weakest out of all 3 of them. But in my opinion, I'm one of those people who disagrees, because I really enjoyed a lot from this movie, and my cousin Ashley enjoyed the film too. And are there any jump shocks or jump scares that occur in the film? I mean, at first I was thinking when I was watching the movie carefully, there might be a couple jump scares, but maybe not as much, because this movie's like played out almost like an 80s whodunit film. But aside from all that, I gotta say the music score by Tyler Bates was really good, and like I said, Ty West's screenplay and direction were both really good too. And yeah, and of course the acting performances were great too. Like, I gotta say, Maya Goth is definitely the bomb when it comes to horror movies. She's definitely a true modern screen queen. By screen queen, I mean like an actress in horror movies. Yeah, Maya Goth was amazing in this film, just like she was in the first 2. And Elizabeth Debicki, I thought she was good in the film, and Kevin Bacon was cool in the film, and like DC Film Girl mentioned on WB on TV11 News this morning about like how she actually interviewed Kevin Bacon for MaXXXine. Yeah, Kevin Bacon was cool to see in this film. Lily Collins was good as well. And yeah, and like I said, Bobby Cannavale was also in the film too, and Bobby Cannavale plays one of the detectives in this film. Like that Bobby Cannavale plays a detective in this film. Bobby Cannavale was good to see for most of the film, and just like in the trailers, and just like I knew for a long time, one of my all time favorite singers, like as of right now, well, one of my new favorite modern singers, like Halsey. Yeah, Halsey was also in the film too. I thought like she was like Halsey was only in it for like during the first half of the film, not including like some sort of, well, if I go into full detail about the last act of the film, I really don't want to spoil this movie just in case if some of you guys out there are interested in seeing this film, but. But Halsey was nice to see in the film, and I've always been a fan of Halsey ever since like 2022 when Sing 2 came out, when she played the wolf girl Portia. And yeah, Bobby Cannavale was in Sing 2 as well, because MaXXXine was actually the second film collaboration of both Bobby Cannavale and Halsey together. Because in Sing 2, Bobby Cannavale and Halsey played the father and daughter, like daughter Portia and father Jimmy Crystal, who's like the bad guy, the main villain of Sing 2, and. Yeah, and he's also Portia's dad. Like, yeah. Yeah, mainly because I think Sing 2 was probably my official introduction to Halsey when I first started to know about her. I first listened to one of her songs back in like 2018, like "Without Me" by Halsey, which came out in 2018. But that was during the early times where I had no idea who she was at the time. But I've listened to some of Halsey's music, and I do like her music in some ways. I do like her music, like "Without Me" and yeah, 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 and of course, I'm also saving this for the review as well, since like I said, MaXXXine is the second film collaboration of both Bobby Cannavale and Halsey together. I saw from a person on Twitter, like on X Twitter. I saw a person on Twitter tweet that the casting director must have enjoyed Sing 2 a lot. The casting director decided to cast Bobby Cannavale and Halsey in this movie in an A24 horror film. Yeah, like it's like Halsey in an A24 horror film. That's kind of like how last year Nathan Lane was in 2 A24 films. And it's like how Nathan Lane went from a Disney star to an A24 star. Yeah, very interesting. But anyways, as I was saying about Bobby Cannavale and Halsey's collaboration for Sing 2 in this movie, I also still have a mini poster of Sing 2 as well, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. Yep. This is what... Yeah, I actually still have the mini poster of Sing 2 hanged next to my between my closet and my door where I come in to my room. Yeah. Pretty cool. Yep, and that's Halsey's character in Sing 2, Portia. Yep, and it has her name up there too, along with Bobby Cannavale. Yeah, and yes, and please excuse like the light reflection from the ceiling fan, but yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that, and just to keep you guys entertained for this video. Yeah, so. And I'm glad I finally got my chance to see this movie, and it was definitely worth it, and yeah. So overall, MaXXXine was great, and it's now my number one favorite horror film of 2024, with Late Night with the Devil being my second favorite horror film of the year. And I'm gonna give MaXXXine 5 out of 5 stars, like a 10 out of 10. Not a single flaw. This is a completely fantastic, perfect, amazing film. Yeah, and it's like I said, if you enjoy X and Pearl, then you'll definitely get a kick out of this for like all movie fans out there, like me. And yeah, so yeah, I highly recommend checking it out if you're interested. So there you have it, guys. That's gonna be it for my movie review on MaXXXine. And that's going to be it for this video. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And as always, thanks for watching. And until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying goodbye, everybody, and that's about it.